What up, everybody? Well, it's been nice knowing you, Harry. Nice knowing you. Harry eats carrots. Well, if you eat carrots, you're going to die. Well, NAFTA's already been done away with, so that's gone. NAFTA's gone his first time. Oh, here goes Pablo. Oh, no, here goes Finn again. Hey, Finny. You coming in? All right. You come and sit with us? Yes, sir. There you go. Let's do it live. Over free trade for us all. Free trade, free trade. Anyway, so what's going on out there in the hinterland? The hinterlands of where you guys are living. We got Don in the house, pulverizer, Judge Smales. Well, we're waiting. Little Judge Smales. No one knows who the Judge Smales is. Anyway, so as I just started following this guy, Oren Cass. Hey Ted. On Twitter. Liking this guy. So oh my goodness. Measles outbreak, 2 dead. Parties advocated amidst rising cases. Ooh, measles parties. How dare you? Not measles outbreaks. We're all gonna die. Oh my goodness. Caddyshack, Ted Knight. Yeah, don't know that. Hey, Michael, K Paso. Not Caddyshack was right a little bit before my times. The measles gonna kill us all. Yeah, look, Ted knows it. Caddyshack. In fact, it's funny because just if you watch, there's a thing on YouTube. I think I put it someplace. I can't remember where I put it, but it's just like they have all these. Hey, James, these 1950s and 1960s episodes of TV about measles. They're like, measles, that's nothing. Measles are new COVID. Exactly. Turns out that kid in Texas who died. Apparently, look, and it sucks, dude. I mean, but they gave him the measles vax. After you're not supposed to do that. Hey, John Porter. Josh lived in an Amish community until he was 18. No, not quite. But they gave him the measles vax after he already had the measles. You're not supposed to do that. And apparently this guy had all kinds of other issues. And apparently the docs would not put him on like a ventilator or something. I don't know what it was. But there's a whole lot more of that story than meets the eye. And it's just crazy to me. And again, remember, more children die drowning in tubs than they do by accidental discharge of firearms. Just remember that. Again, William Sullivan, hey, man. Hola. Don't know any Amish on peaks. Yeah, I wouldn't have any Amish. I don't think Amish and the hippies, were too keen on each other. The hippies were probably keen on the Amish, but I don't think it went reciprocated. And it was just kind of funny because you got these shows like, oh, measles, no big deal. And then we're like, oh my goodness, measles, it's all over. I'm like, oh, it's crazy, man. And they're just it's just, I guess people literally buy this stuff. In terms of like, they really panic about this. The weirdest thing. It's like, really? I mean, of all the things in the world to worry about measles, Amish bathe more than dirty hippies do. Maybe. To wash their hands, I'm sure. But I'm just like, all the things to worry about. That's it. You're worried about the measles thing. It's odd to me, man. It's very strange. And by the way, if you've got the vax, why do you? I've never heard a good answer this. If you got the vax, why do you care? I mean, literally, if you got the protection, why do you care what other people have? Well, it's like the children. Like, okay, always the children. It's crazy. Anyway, it's nuts. And a nice day here, 72 degrees and sunny. Yeah, worst thing to worry about is messing with the immune system. I mean, I know it's crazy, man. Not the government's always trying to make the next pandemic out of the measles outbreak or the chickens. Like, I remember a couple years ago they had this big thing, Marie, where they said they were trying to make it like backyard chickens were leading to salmonella. And people, again, since you can see this a mile away, you're like, oh my goodness, we're doing this now. Like literally right after COVID, salmonella is like because of backyard chickens. You're like, it just is crazy. 46 and cloudy. Eesh. MMR are given to most kids. No panic. Well, if you got the MMR, measles, mumps, rubella, if you got those three things, and the whole thing about Andy Wakefield wasn't that he was against measles, or mumps or rubella vax is he said we should keep doing it individually as opposed to combining into one shot until we have more evidence that this is safe to combine them into one shot. That was living my dream when others share the nightmares among themselves, man. Yep. Man, Portland, Maine, 25 degrees and 30 miles wind. Oh, dude, that's not good. I couldn't handle that. So what Andy Wakefield said, let's just separate the M from the R, and we can do like we used to do it, but then we combine them. Actually, Chloe and I are watching a show, Dope Sick or something like that on Hulu, talk about the OxyContin thing. And I'm like, it's the funniest thing because he adds on there. So this is basically the who the hell was it? The Purdue Farms. Or not farms, Purdue Pharmacia, Purdue Pharma. I'm still waiting to get chicken pox. Why don't other countries have problems with their chickens? Yeah, good question. By the way, many other countries don't put fluoride in their teeth, just FYI. In fact, let's look at grok. I just like people say, oh, if we don't have fluoride in our teeth, we're all going to have bad. Let's see. Let's ask grok. What countries in Europe don't put fluoride in their drinking water? Yeah, of course, Drewski. You've seen the Brady one. It's fantastic where they got the measles. It's fun. I put that on everywhere I see people scared about the measles. Said, oh man, I show that to them all the time. It's funny because it's like it's just the measles. Right, let's take a look. Just as an FYI. Most countries in Europe do not artificially fluoridate their drinking system, with only a few exceptions. Based on the latest available data, there's a rundown of countries that do not add fluoride to their drinking system. Belgium, Austria, Croatia, Czech, Denmark. Denmark, apparently the happiest country in the world. Everyone says Denmark. Estonia, Finland, France, Germany. Holy crap. Greece, Hungary, Iceland, Italy, Latvia, Lithuania, Luxembourg. What the hell, Luxembourg? Netherlands. What the hell? Norway, Poland, Portugal, Romania, Serbia, Sweden. What? Switzerland. What? Ukraine. Holy crap. Ukraine doesn't, and we have to, whatever Ukraine does, we should do. Ukraine does not put fluoride in their drinking water. Ukraine, how dare they? Ireland fluoridates 73% of its water. Spain and the UK. Well, that's crazy. The big three: Ireland, Spain, and the UK. Kind of crazy. And even Spain only fluoridates it in some countries, covering about 11%. If grok is correct, and I don't know, whatever. We got Cheesehead on here. What's up, Cheesehead? Is that old Eric? TDS way more dangerous than measles. Yeah, 100%. These people are the same lunatics. I took OxyContin. Nothing wrong with the pain medication. There's people that abuse it. Yeah, I 100%. That's the thing that kind of ticks me off, James, is that they're showing the people who abuse it, and some people do get addicted. That's just a fact. And this is the problem. This is the problem. The black and white world we live in. OxyContin bad. Continent bad. Why? Because people can get addicted and abuse it. All right. But this was just telling Chloe about, because they're making these advertisements about like this lady, not advertisers, like they're showing this lady who got addicted to OxyContin, and she's talking to the Department of Justice, about how, she was lied to about OxyContin because she got addicted to it. I said, but where's her, what happened to her pain? I mean, this is the question I had. I was talking to Chloe. I said, all right, I get it. She got addicted to OxyContin. That sucks. She's no longer on OxyContin, but the reason she was on it is because she had massive amounts of pain. So is that pain now just gone? I mean, now she's off OxyContin. They don't address that. That's what freaking pisses me off. It's not just one size fits all. Facts are many people use OxyContin because it actually is a wonderful pain medication. It's a wonderful pain medication. Now, at the same stage, Big Pharma, do they potentially lie about some of the benefits? Sure, absolutely. And that's just the whole irony of it all is the advertisements while we're watching this are all Big Pharma. Wegovy, There's some Wegovy thing. You're like, Wegovy, I lost 46 pounds under Wegovy. I was like, wait, most people are watching this are probably skeptical of Big Pharma, and Big Pharma has advertisements about Wegovy. I thought it was funny. But yeah, that's the thing. And James, what they're trying to do, what they have done is they try to say, limit your ability to have that drug in terms of your ability to deal with your pain. The vast majority of people, and this is not a defense of Oxycontin, not in the least, but the vast majority of people don't get addicted to Oxycontin. They just don't. And as such, they're basically, throwing the baby out with the bathwater. It's not good, man. It was abused. I got off slowly going down to dosage. Yeah. I look like 7 a.m. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. Why is our government allowing food and water to be poisoned by companies? Because the government is owned by those companies. Look at the history of Rockefeller. I'm telling you, man, the Rockefeller clan, not good, very, very bad. And we got lots of these guys that are in complete control. I'm surprised USAID wasn't funding fluoride. They might have been. Why isn't sugar outlawed? Because people become addicted to it. Yeah, that's what it does. Look, I haven't during Lent. I'm giving up all sweets, and it's tough, dude. I mean, I freaking love my sweets. You know what I'm saying? Because sugar is addictive as all can be. And I just like. I mean, it's not an easy thing to give up sweets, but like with all things, once you get over that hump, you get massive cravings. I had a massive craving today, but I didn't eat sweets. I just ate potato chips instead, which isn't good, but I just needed something, man. I said, oosh, I got to get something. So I ate some, with the jalapeno Cape Cod chips, which are freaking fantastic. So I said, I'm going to eat some of these because I was just like, man, I need something. You know what I'm saying? And my boys are getting up soda, and the same thing, man. This stuff ain't no joke, man. Corn syrup should really be outlawed. Yeah, that's high fructose corn syrup. High variability between addictive nature and narcotics. 100%. OxyContin, however, is highly addictive. Well, it might be highly addictive to some, but the question is it highly addictive enough that you can say to other people, you can't take a certain dose of this because we're worried about you being addicted to it? When those people are in pain, I don't have the answer to that. I don't. Whatever. I think at the end of the day, it's why we should not allow Big Pharma to advertise though, because what the Wegovy advertising, just to use an example, is talk to your doctor about Wegovy. Basically, they want us to be the dope pushers for the doctor. Like, hey, doc, I'm 35 pounds overweight. I saw a thing called Wegovy. You think that could help? And of course, the doctor says, I haven't really looked into it, but if they're going to pay me enough money, I'll prescribe it. Because, dude, that's the way it happens, man. We know this. We know these guys are get paid for the drugs they prescribe. Absolutely. Now, so our doctors, are they all knowledgeable about all these drugs they prescribe? Of course not. Of course not. They're just not, man. I mean, come on. So, the vaccines, are they all knowledgeable about this? No, they're just going on what the mainstream says. And as such, they're like, yeah. So can they be taken for a ride by these big pharma companies? Okay, absolutely, just like anyone else, man. It's crazy. Anyway, I can't remember if I had OxyContin. I think I had Percocet. Yeah, I didn't. I think I took one when I got my shoulder. I don't think I liked it either, man. I think I took one and I said, I'm gonna just, unless it gets real painful, I'm gonna ride it out. My brother was in sales for Purdue. Once the company started pushing for more scripts, he quit. But during the time he was there, he made bank. Yeah, dude, crazy. But he's a good-looking guy too, because they like those good. Their sales force is always good-looking. Shouldn't toothpaste be called teeth paste because you have one tooth in your head, unless you have one tooth in your head? Well, yeah. But George Washington did not name it that, did he? Did you see that SNL skit with George Washington? What's that guy's name? Nate Bargatze or something like that. That was pretty funny. I'm a junkie, 100%. I'm a junkie. I'm a Cape Cod junkie. I read USA accepted 271,000 Ukrainian refugees from the war dated. Probably so. UX tax. Yeah, that's crazy. There are reasons to prescribe narcotics. One is a total knee replacement. They just oh man, is why I will look like someone detoxing. Yeah, I'm probably going to lose so much weight. You're not going to recognize me when I stop eating all my sweets. We started Lent on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I haven't had any junk food at all. I mean, potato chips are junk food, I grant you, but it's not sweets. You know what I'm saying? Because I got a sugar addiction like you wouldn't believe. And just eat a couple. Moderation. There's when you're an alcoholic, when you're a sugar junkie, there's no such thing as moderation. There just isn't. It's the whole damn bag, whole six pack or none. And after a while, you say, I have to go with none because I just can't do it. How was it? I felt So I fasted on Wednesday. I went all the way until about noon on Thursday. I was feeling a little bit lightheaded and a little bit headaches, Marie. And so that was I saw some. I definitely was feeling great. I'll tell you that right now. I still got on the treadmill, but it's not only was I fasting, but that's the first day of my sugar, getting rid of my sugar stuff too. So it was kind of all in once, some kind of thing. And I didn't feel great on Thursday. I'm not gonna lie to you. And yesterday, Friday, we don't eat meat on Friday. But I didn't feel great. But I'm gonna do it again on Wednesday. You know what I'm saying? A fast. I might do like what the Muslims do, which is just eat in the morning or at night. You know what I'm saying? Because that's a whole day of fast was tough. I'm not gonna. It varied. I don't eat anything usually it's about 11 anyway in the afternoon, in the morning. So I'm usually fine by then. But around 11, 12, I start getting hungry. And then it's just more of a, it's just a hunger. It's not like it's debilitating. But anyway, so I stopped. I just said, okay, let's just deal with this. And then you kind of get your second win, then you're fine. And then right about a little bit after dinner time, you start getting hungry again. And then you get your second win, you're fine. So I was good up until about noon. And then I was just jonesing for some of my sourdough bread. All right. And so I didn't have any sourdough. So I had some sourdough bread and I said, I got to eat it. I was Jones. I said, I can't resist anymore. So that's what I'm giving. So for giving up sweets, I'm going to make more and more sourdough bread because my sourdough bread just covered in butter is freaking fantastic. That's fantastic. It's so good. And it's the sour but it takes, if you're going to do it to get the real yeast to really activate and make it sour, you got to let it, fester, whatever the hell it's called, for 18 hours or so. And so you can't just do it in like 2 hours time to get the real benefit of it. So anyway, it takes a little bit, but that's pretty good. So I don't mind that trade-off because my sourdough bread it's freaking delicious. I love it, man. It's so good. But it's a little high carbs and stuff. But anyway, so I'm gonna do fasting again on Wednesday. Some guy was saying for Catholics we can eat one small meal a day during fast. That seems like a little bit of a cop out. So I'm not sure I'm gonna do that. But I think at the end of the day, I might do like what the Muslims do, just fast during the day and just eat one meal at night. That's what I'll probably do, something like that. I was thinking about that. Would honey be acceptable? That's a great question. I was actually thinking about that just 2 days ago. I don't know, man. I haven't thought that through. Probably. I'm going to eat blueberry pancakes and I'm going to put syrup on. My wife's like, "Oh, you're going to have syrup?" I said, "Yeah, because that's not a sweet. That's a part of a meal. I mean, it's sugary. Don't get me wrong, but it's not like a sweet. It's not like a candy. Because that's my addiction thing is candy. I mean, I'm telling you, man, I love candy. They got Sour Patch Kids on sale at Publix right now. I was like, can't do it. So if I can eat syrup, I imagine honey would be acceptable too. Especially if you put some salt on that honey, man. If you dump a little bit of salt, like maybe a quarter teaspoon of salt on a tablespoon of honey, it's good. All these celebrities using Ozempic develop where really? I haven't seen that. Oh yeah, no, I understood, but it's not. It doesn't have the same immediate hit that a thing of chocolate or a candy bar or a Skittles does, if that makes sense. Yeah, I get what's going on there, but it's not the same impact immediately. Or I just like, you know what I'm saying? Um, but addicted just about everything. Yeah, I've been addicted just about everything I've come across. Tramadol is I don't even know what that is. Tramadol's a banana is more sugar in it than two regular sized candy bars. Really? Is that true, Harry? That seems that seems that's hard to. Yeah, what I'm saying, you can't just eat one Girl Scout cookie. Exactly. Hey, thanks, Ted. That's probably why I was able to do it. Penelope says, I got a shot of morphine when I went to the ER with a kidney stone. Oh, man, it was good stuff. Eesh. Were you able to get, I mean, does it make you loopy? Like, oh, man, like you're, meeting God or something like that? Like, I can't imagine those guys with heroin. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do they do? Like, because heroin's like just makes you go, ugh. Like, what does that do? Like, just puts you in a, yeah, dry drunks is a term they replace booze with something else like sober, basically replacing. Yeah, actually, I disagree with that. I think dry drunks is actually we have the same attitude you had before. Very narcissistic, very self absorbed. That's what I would call a dry drunk. I don't think a dry drunk is replacing alcohol with sweets. I think a dry drunk is you haven't changed your outlook on life. You're still everything is around me. I'm a victim. Woe is me. That kind of stuff. Take It helps suppress it. Berberine. My mom was telling me to drink a tablespoon of or 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar and 8 ounces of water, and that'll lower your blood sugar. And she said that might help you any kind of that might get away of any kind of you know issues you're having in terms of cravings. Berberine. I don't know what the berberine is. You were lucky I had emergency gallbladder removed in January. They made myself, made you feel like your soul was being stolen. Isn't that crazy, man? That's crazy. It's crazy how it hits people different ways. I'm going to write down berberine suppressor. Remember, I don't eat breakfast. I mean, I don't eat anything till about 11 o'clock. So I'm not a freaking pig. And when your stomach shrinks, man, when it just does. So your stomach shrinks. It's just, I like the taste of sweets. That's crazy, man. That you felt like your soul was being stolen. Man. Like a lot of people say when they smoke dope or something like that or mushrooms, they're like, "Oh, it's great," and then other people say, "Hell no." Yeah, Catholic fasting rule: one full non-meat meal followed by two. That seems a little bit. No, that seems a little bit weak to me. One full non-meat meal followed by two smaller meals that do not equate to a full meal. I just figure try the whole day. You know what I'm saying, without eating anything and just see how that works. Yeah, no. You can't. That'd be like saying drink non-alcoholic drinks. I'm not gonna do that. I mean, it's like I'm not gonna. If I'm drinking non-alcoholic drinks, I'm just gonna go drink Guinness, man. That's all there is to it. Bread is more addictive, and sweets are more addictive than any pain medication. Hopefully, no one need pain. Yeah, bread is freaking. I love bread. I'm not gonna lie to you. Did Elon's actually say because Social Security is a Ponzi scheme? I mean, literally is. There's no other effect. I'll share. Did Elon actually say he wants to dismantle it? I'd like to see he actually said that. Yeah, I mean, so I'll share with you something I said on LinkedIn that got people their panties all up in arms. This is actually kind of funny, and I'll share it with you. Yeah, medicine and diet never one size fits all. They should have told us that during COVID. Shouldn't they have? Should have told us that during COVID. Medicine and diet, not one size fits all. Nope. Everyone get the vax. Everyone, or else we're gonna have the whatever the hell they said we're gonna have. Freaking idiots. All these people like, I can't believe that blah blah blah, we're firing people, blah 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 blah. And screw that, man. I'm just you guys didn't mind when we were firing people for COVID stuff, so they can all kiss my big fat behind. All right, so where if I can find my man here. Hold on just a second. I guess I'm gonna hold on a second. Where is it, man? All right, let me just go to my thing here. All right, so we're gonna look on my LinkedIn page, and we're gonna talk about what my man Brad says that Social Security is a Ponzi scheme, says Elon Musk, because it absolutely is. So we're gonna come down here. We're gonna look at my. I'm not on LinkedIn all that often. Probably should be. So I'm going to show you here. Post. There I am right there. There I am. There I am. I'm going to show you if I can find this right here. That's what I said. I said, for the record, Social Security is a Ponzi scheme by definition. It takes money from new contributors and gives it to earlier contributors. Ponzi schemes always fall apart when there isn't enough money from new contributors to pay their early contributors. Oh, exactly what is happening with Social Security. There won't be enough money from early people, from new people to pay the earlier people, the older people, essentially. Indeed, it is legal. So some people say it's not a Ponzi scheme, it's legal. Some people say that. And I said, yeah. And guess what else was legal? Slavery was legal, but that didn't mean slavery. But of course, it was still slavery. Just because a Ponzi scheme is legal does not mean it's not a Ponzi scheme. Just because slavery is legal does not mean it's not slavery. And then my man here comments here, my man Barfield. This is 100% Chris Barfield. This is 100% correct. There's no debate on this. You can choose to be pro Social Security or anti Social Security, but you can't deny it is, in a sense, a Ponzi scheme. Older people are paid out by newer contributions, not by an underlying investment. Anyone denying this does not want to have an intellectually honest conversation about this. Yep, exactly right. And then this guy says, this is so freaking stupid. Let's see. Who is this guy? I was like, dude, yeah, this guy LW. He says, fortunately, debate is still an option in this country, at least for now. I'll take the opportunity to contend it's certainly not a Ponzi scheme, and Social Security itself is an investment in society. As other posters says, there are definitely ways to fix it, blah, blah, blah. Americans who worked all their life to pay into the system do not deserve to have it privatized out from under them by an unelected billionaire high on ketamine and taking over the world. All right, so he's comparing Social Security not being a Ponzi scheme because it has rescued people from poverty. I'm like, well, that doesn't change the fact. And then I said, let me guess, you think Trump is going to end debate and put you in jail? Save me your sanctimony, amigo, unless you stood up against the COVID Nazis, which I bet you did not. Anyway, so we got people like this saying, it's not a Ponzi scheme because it's legal. I said, well, slavery is legal. So you're saying it wasn't slavery then? It's not a Ponzi scheme because it saved a bunch of people from poverty. Okay, it doesn't mean it's not a Ponzi scheme. You're taking money from us and giving it to the older people. That's literally what a Ponzi scheme does. And at some point, there's not enough money from us to pay the current people, which is why it's going to go bankrupt. Now, does that mean it's bad? No, I'm a fan of Social Security, but let's be realistic here and call it what it is so we can learn how to deal with it. And the way we deal with it is got to raise payroll taxes. I mean, it's just, there's got to be more money going into it if we really need to. I don't even know if we need to, but let's just say we do. You raise payroll taxes so everyone has more skin in the game, unequivocally raise payroll taxes. And then what I would do is, I've always said, is I get rid of QDI, qualified dividend income, and long-term capital gain preferential treatment. And I say, if you have more than $1 million of income, you're going to pay ordinary income on these qualified dividends and long-term capital gains. And that money will be used solely for Social Security enhancements, not just to make it solvent, but make it enhanced to give more people more money from Social Security. That's what I would do. And then you can see, I would absolutely get rid of 401k tax deferrals unequivocally, and I'd absolutely get rid of all deductions. No more deductions. We want a flat tax. We want a simplified tax code. This is the way to do it, man. Here, how much money did you make? Over 100,000? Send us a check for $25,000. Done. Under 100,000? Send us a check for $10,000. Done. That's it, man. That's your tax right there. All right. And then how else we do? Oh, we have something called tariffs. Oh my goodness, tariffs. What the country is founded on. So let's go into this article. This is such a good article. Let's see. But the Social Security Ponzi scheme will never go under. That's the difference. Well, it's not different because, I mean, just again, the reason we'll never go under is because we have politicians who can spend our money recklessly, or in this case, they can spend the money with diligence to say, hey, we got to fund it. Either way, they need more money coming in. Bernie Madoff need more money coming in. Bernie Madoff was unable to do it because he can only there's only so many wells you can tap into with Social Security because it's legalized Ponzi scheme. They can go into the Treasury. They can have the laws change on that, but it's still a Ponzi scheme. Unequivocally, it has money coming in from the previous contributions. They got the newer contributions paying out the previous contributions. That's literally what a Ponzi scheme is. And as such, it's got to be fixed, but unlike illegal Ponzi schemes, which are made illegal because they really do fall apart endlessly. But Social Security could do 100%. I mean, you can't sit there and say Social Security because it's legal will forever be. We don't know that. We don't know that at all. In fact, we know most likely it will not forever be. It'll certainly fall away at some point. as every empire does. But anyway, oh yeah, that's right. We got my yeah. Look at that, crazy. Um, yeah, I'd like to see what Musk says. We gotta fix it, or we gotta dismantle it. Especially after Trump said we're not touching it. I think Brian is falling for some mainstream media issues here. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to look up this article. Did I put it in here? I thought I did. Where did I put it? Because this is one of the best articles I've ever read on a. I listened to Steel Art. It's definitely not my favorite band, Penelope. Definitely not my favorite band, but it's a lot of that glam metal stuff I don't really like that much. But that song, and they got some other songs that are fantastic. Some of the glam metal I liked. I'm not gonna lie. There's a couple bands, a couple songs, a couple bands, but that that song. The only reason I like that song so much, even that band generally, is because the guy singing is just so through the roof. So through the roof. I mean, the guy's just insane, and he's a regular guy from Connecticut. Has a New York accent. It's crazy, man. Yeah, the Steelheart guys from Connecticut. Yep, exactly right. And he talks like, he just talks like it too. It's nuts, man. All right, so we're gonna go down here, find my man. And we're gonna forum if I can find this article. Hang tight, amigos. All right. Hold on. Hold on, everybody. All right. So there's a lot to uncover here, right here. A lot to uncover that you guys are going to be. Yeah, no one's touching Social Security. No one's saying confiscate all the wealth from the top 1% mark. No one's saying that. Why do people always does everything have to be like, oh, you want to take for the makeup? It's like, oh, no one's saying that. It's kind of like the same people say raise the cap, that'll fix Social Security. No, it won't. I know this is crazy. This is crazy. Shh, don't tell anybody. There's more than one way to skin this cat. Shh, don't tell anybody. We can do many different things. We could increase the payroll tax. Shocking. We could increase the income from having people with over $1 million pay more into Social Security. Shocking. We could have a wealth tax. Shocking. What else could we do? Oh, we could do many things. If you want to raise the payroll cap, that's fine. I don't like it. But remember, we don't have to do just all. We don't have to say we're going to get all the money from Elon Musk because he's so evil. I just find all these people hate on Elon Musk. Like, where you been, man? I mean, those of us on the right, we've been an anti-Elon Musk guy for a long, long time. I'm not pro Elon Musk, but I like the fact that we can. Oh, dude, do you see that thing with that stupid chick? Yo, this is. Oh, dude. I mean, who puts these people up to that? It's crazy. I'm just like, we don't have to do it all in one thing. In fact, it's crazy. I know it's shocking. This is crazy. There are pretty simple ways to fix Social Security that Social Security Administration and their actuaries even have said. One of them would be to raise the payroll tax. Shocking. Another one would be, they don't say get rid of qualified dividends, long-term capital gains on people making $1 million, but they're saying get rid of the cap. But to some degree, they're saying other things as well too. Crazy, and it's fixed. But get rid of the cap isn't a fix. Tax the millionaires isn't a fix. But these are all parts of fix. And I don't think we should. I don't think we should have. Yeah, 100%, man. 100%. There's lots of ways to short up. It's not that hard to do. But you can't short up in the back of the multimillionaires. You can't short up on freaking the backs of the working people by increasing their full retirement age. That's stupid. You can't short up all in the back of the increasing the payroll tax either. That's stupid. It's got to be a structural thing. We're all in agreement on how to do this. Now, again, as I did a video the other day, these idiots who want to raise a payroll tax or get rid of the payroll cap, I should say, they don't understand what they're going to do. They're going to make multi-millionaires out of they're going to make Social Security millionaires out of people like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and whatnot. So anyway, Rich people won't allow Congress to raise taxes, save Social Security. I completely agree with that. Yeah. All right, so let's go into this right here. This is a great article, and I got a lot to talk about on this. So we're probably this is my man Oren. What's the name here? What's this dude's name? Yeah, Oren. Yeah, I don't have his name up here. Oh, right here, Oren Cass, right here. Oren Cass. This guy is freaking crushing. American elites accepted the economic theory of a comparative advantage mainly because it justified their geopolitical agenda. Yep, and we're going to start down here. This is on page. Hold on just a second. Come on here. Keep going down. Keep going down. We're not going to read this whole thing, trust me, but there's some great stuff in here. Refusing right there. Keep going down. Right here. Oh, this is so good. The economist mistake is one prevalent in many fields today, from public health to education, where attempts to launder genuine expertise in a social control tend inevitably to backfire, discredit the experts broadly, and thus fuel precisely the populism they seek to avoid. Telling Americans to believe economics over their own lying eyes only underscores how economics has failed. Heaping scorn on departures from the free trade orthodoxy probably succeeds in cowing people who care mostly about their own respectability, but the inevitable result will be to sideline the economists themselves from the policy debates to come. 100%. And right reason we say that is because we go up here to what Krugman says, right here. Paul Krugman. Trade deficits are self-correcting, and carefully explaining economic concepts like comparative advantage doesn't work. What does work is ridicule. If you can make someone who imagines himself to be a deep sophisticate look silly, sometimes it gives him, or at least someone else who might be tempted to follow the same route, pause. That's what they like to do. They like to make their challengers look silly. Oh, I'm not showing this. Oops. One second. I thought I was showing this to you. Here we go. All right, so we're going to go into a couple of things here. Right here. The theory of competitive advantage, right here. This principle forms the basis of the economics case for free trade. The theory of comparative advantage, is as closely a reasoned doctrine which, when properly stated, is unassailable, says Paul Samuelson. He wrote that in 1948. With it, we're able to separate out gross fallacies in the political propaganda for protective tariffs aimed at limiting imports. Yep. And he says, again, anyone who's taken an introductory course in economics learned just that. And that anyone given even cursory attempt to current affairs has heard the same message repeated ad nauseum with absolute confidence by Nobel laureates, proclaiming their unanimity, I can never say that word, and mocking dissent. On free trade, Milton Friedman said, economists have spoken with almost one voice for some 200 years. Yeah. So that must mean it's right? Okay. Well, let's see right here. Reality. U.S. exports and imports were roughly balanced in 1992. I did a video. I didn't do a video on it, but I posted on my X page, my Facebook page, and my LinkedIn page about the trade balance was almost. It was right. It was just like a very small trade imbalance, trade deficit in 1992. In 2022, the trade deficit exceeded $900 billion. Even in advanced technology products, the same 30-year period saw the U.S. swing from a $60 billion surplus to a nearly $250 billion deficit. Economic growth and business slowed, with the 2000s and 2010s turning in the worst and second worst decades of the post-war era. Period. In manufacturing, productivity growth turned negative. American factories needed more labor in 2022 than in 2012 just to produce the same output. The crown jewels of the American industry, revolutionary innovators like General Electric, Boeing, and Intel, lost their positions of global leadership. The U.S.-China trading relationship became the most imbalanced in world history and cost millions of American jobs. Yep. Speaking of Elon Musk, Tesla, an icon of contemporary American innovation, reports that most of its stakeholders reside in China. And CEO Elon Musk pledged in July, this is July 2023, to enhance core socialist values. Interesting. There's Elon Musk. All right, got now. Kind of strange. All right, let's keep going. So there's a lot of good stuff in here. Janet Yellen testified, we gain in China gains from free trade. That's what Janet Yellen testified. In academia, meanwhile, most economists refuse to acknowledge any problem at all. And a 2012 survey by the University of Chicago presented 35 prominent economists with a statement, trade with China makes most Americans better off because, among other advantages, they can buy goods that are made or assembled more cheaply in China. All 35 of prominent economists agreed. In his book, The Wall and the Bridge, Professor Glenn Hubbard, who is a chair of George W. Bush's Council on Economic Advisors, says, classical comparative advantage that with two countries, if each specializes in the good or goods they produce more efficiently, there are gains from trade. All right, so that's basically the issue. The issue is basically we say we're going to trade with China for what we produce better, and they're going to trade with us for what they produce better, and we'll all be better off for it. That sounds very, very seductive. Very seductive. Let's keep going. In the years ahead, America will continue to turn away from the excesses of globalization, as it should. Doing so effectively will require not only the understanding that something has gone wrong, but also the understanding of what has gone wrong and why. Ideally, economists might come to recognize their own mistakes and participate in the rebalancing of saying we went too far. All right, let's keep thinking. Right here. What economists have missed in their blind embrace of free trade is a twofold problem. Part conceptual and part technical. The conceptual problem is quite straightforward. Making things matter. Making things matter. This should not be a controversial assertion, but in fact, many economists take issue with it. Michael Boskin, chair of George H.W. Bush's Council of Economic Advisors, says famously quipped, computer chips, potato chips, what's the difference? Check this guy out. Adam Posen, president of the Peterson Institute for International Economics. Remember Peterson? I talked about him the other day in a video. I said, how did Pete Peterson become so wealthy? Oh, he sold his soul for rock and roll. Here's what Adam Posen said. What's really going on here with concerns about American manufacturing is a general fetish for keeping white males of low education outside the cities and the powerful positions they're in. That's what Adam Posen said. Yeah, he really gives two craps about us. Yeah, okay, scumbag. I'd like to see Adam Posen and just hey, but here's Andy Grove, the brilliant engineer who led Intel in its heyday. He says, our pursuit of individual businesses, which often involves transferring manufacturing and a great deal of engineering out of country, has hindered our ability to bring innovations to scale at home. He says this, our pursuit of individual businesses. Interesting. All right, let's keep going. With this infamous wine and cloth, the Ricardian model leads this challenge, specializing either product might be equally valuable. So basically the idea would be, again, I build wine, you build cloth, we trade, and we're all better off for it. All right, well, that sounds good again in theory. But change the model to advance semiconductors and cloth, and the benefit to a nation abandoning its role in the chip industry to focus on weaving is hard to discern. Complicating matters further, once the products at issue are a different strategic value, any nation might rationally place its finger on the scale to gain comparative advantage in that which it prefers to produce. Another nation, trusting that it benefit from free trade regardless, would soon find itself specializing in nothing that anyone wants. The most technologically advanced economy could find itself running a $250 billion deficit in advanced technology products, incapable of fabricating advanced chips that it pioneered. In that country, national security would be put at risk. Productivity growth and innovation would decline, and workers and their families and communities would ultimately pay the price in worsening economic prospects. Trading cloth for semiconductors might not strengthen the economy, but at least yield a hot labor market for shepherds. I thought that's kind of funny. Let's keep going here. I thought that's kind of funny. Again, I can't stress this enough. The most technologically advanced economy, the U.S., is running a $250 billion trade deficit in advanced technology products. We are incapable of fabricating advanced chips that we pioneered. It's a national security thing. All right, so let's keep going. Right here. This is crazy. All right, I want to show you John Stuart Mill right here. John Stuart Mill, elaborating on the Ricardo's analysis, described international trade as always, in reality, an actual trucking of one commodity against another. But what happens if goods are exchanged not for goods, but for assets? Liverpool's factories could relocate to Lisbon, Portugal. Portugal could make the wine, the cloth, the semiconductors, and trade them all to England in return from prime London real estate, or perhaps bonds committing the British crown to payment of sometime in the future date. This is exactly what happened with Japanese. They were buying our land. Now, it happened to crash. That doesn't mean it will again. Why? Because they had the money. Because we were importing everything and they weren't buying anything from us. We were buying their crap, and instead they had our money and our real estate. They were buying up the country. That's exactly what happened in Japan in the 1980s and 1990s. And then thankfully they fell because of mark-to-market accounting and things of this nature. But it's exactly what happened to them. We weren't selling them anything. We were buying all their crap. We weren't selling anything. Instead, what were they having? They were buying our real assets, essentially. It's crazy. Let's keep going. In the short run, an Englishman might delight in this arrangement, receiving all manner of goods at lower prices to consume while having to produce nothing at all, but be a recipe for national immiseration. The exchange of goods for assets appears as a trade deficit. The exchange of goods for assets is a trade deficit, which is exactly what's happening in the United States. And it's essential that of the American experience under globalization. Since 1992, the U.S. has accumulated a $15 trillion trade debt. Goods and services consumed by Americans for which nothing was produced in return. The lack of demand for production itself has done great harm to hollowed out industries, collapsed communities, and slowed growth. By adding insult to injury, it represents future claims on the American economy. Yep, 100%. We have a $15 trillion trade deficit since 1992. Financing current consumption by simultaneously forfeiting future claims on the nation's prosperity and reducing the nation's capacity to generate prosperity can score well with only the most myopic and blinkered conception of the common good. Here's Warren Buffett. Our country has been behaving like an extraordinarily rich family that possesses an immense farm, he said in 2003. We have, day by day, been both selling pieces of the farm and increasing the mortgage on what we still own. Yeah, right here. So here's a guy, Alfred Marshall, who did the seminal Principle of Economics from the UK. And this is crazy, is what he says. Under the heading, the narrowness of Ricardo and his followers, he chastised Ricardians for having laid down laws with regard to profits and wages that did not really hold for England in their own time, and for failing to see how liable to change are the habits and institutions of industry. On a footnote, he later condemned as many hangers-on the science who had no reverence for it and simply used as an engine for keeping the working class in their place. Right here, we got a, right here. I want to show you here something real quick. Right, where did it go? Right there. All right. If Portugal, right here, were the low-cost producer of both goods, it would be undoubtedly advantageous to the capitalists of England and to the consumers in both countries that under such circumstances, the wine and the cloth should be both made in Portugal, and therefore that the capital and labor of England employed in making cloth and wine should be removed to Portugal for that purpose. What's happening here? The saving grace, he believes, with the natural disinclination which every man has to quit the country of his birth, i.e. patriotism, which I should be sorry to see weakened. And then my man here says, introduce Ricardo to Apple's Tim Cook or Tesla's Elon Musk. He might disavow competitive advantage on the spot, where you're saying, hey, from a broad base of us being Americans, we're going to keep this economy humming, even if it means we have to pay a little bit more. But then you have these globalists, they don't care about America at all. In fact, right here, even John Adams says, right here, here's John Adams. John Adams complained that British merchants just gorge upon all of their stores of merchandise and manufacturers, not only without profit, but at a certain loss for a time, with the express purpose of annihilating the U.S. manufacturers. Yep. In the United States, economists and policymakers recognize the case for free trade emanating from Britain as a self-serving ideology, not as a universal principle. British industry dominated the global economy, and the empire relied upon its colonies for cheap labor, which we don't, oddly, because the British had slaves, and cheap commodities. So they relied on their colonies for cheap supplies and other nations supply the UK with raw materials in return for which it would finish delivered goods for trade for cheap, which would destroy our own manufacturing base in the United States. Yep. Crazy. Right here. Marshall, the economist from the UK, said, there's a German emigre to the United States who showed that the Ricardians had taken but little account of the indirect effects of free trade. They were less relevant to Britain, but in Germany still more. Many of its indirect effects were evil. Yep. Alexander Hamilton famously urged a national economic policy to foster domestic industry in the 1791 Report on Manufactures, which concluded by asking, and what can the public purse be so useful as to prompting and improving the effects of industry? Here you got Lincoln himself said, give us a protective tariff and we'll have the greatest nation on earth. Teddy Roosevelt, thank God I'm not a free trader. In this country, whatever that word is, pernicious indulgence to the doctrine of free trade seems inevitably to produce fatty degeneration of the moral fiber. Crazy. Oh, right here. Behind some of the world's highest tariffs, the U.S. transformed from colonial backwater to continent-spanning industrial colossus. From 1870 to the eve of the Great Depression, the U.S. GDP grew more than twice the rate of the U.K. Most of the great success stories in modern development, Japan, South Korea, and Israel, hinge on aggressive trade barriers erected to develop domestic industry. None of these examples proves that protectionism always works, but they do prove that does not necessarily will fail. You know? Even the British came to their senses at their industrial I can't pronounce that word, faded. John Maynard Keynes, I'm no longer a free trader, and I believe that practically no one else is, in the sense of the old term. To the extent of believing in a very high degree of national specialization and abandoning any industry which is unable for a time to hold its own. Yep. Anyway, so, right here. After the war, Democrats and Republicans began to champion tariff reductions as a means of preventing yet another conflict, arguing that trade fosters interdependence between nations, and a path to perpetual peace. Yeah, whatever. Clowns. Anyway, pretty good stuff. I'll one other thing, and then we'll stop here. Right here. I'm going to start right here. Any intelligent, right here. This is Paul Samuelson, who's kind of like the king of modern economics. Any intelligent person who agrees that the United States must play an important role in the post-war international world will strongly oppose tariffs, because they all attempt to snatch prosperity for ourselves at the expense of the rest of the world. Dig to the bottom of the post-war case for free trade, and one finds not a closely reasoned and unassailable doctrine, but rather a condescending lecture about preferring the global to the national interest. Any intelligent person would agree that protective tariffs are bad because they attempt to snatch prosperity for ourselves at the expense of the rest of the world. I'm going to stop there because it's if we go to David Rockefeller's quotes on globalism, he says explicitly, I am a globalist. Not an American, a globalist. That's what I am. Anyway, the point being here is you got to, at the end of the day, you say, we are living free on other countries' cheaply made goods. How long can that continue to go on? Now, we still have a big manufacturing capacity. In fact, I looked up the other day, the biggest manufacturing stuff our exports are oil, natural gas, and things of that nature, which is fantastic, especially the Russians invading the Ukraine, because we can be more prominent in that regard for sure. Absolutely, absolutely. That's good. That's a wonderful, wonderful thing. But are we really going to go back to saying, hey, it's okay if other countries do this at a cheaper, more efficient way than us? What happens to our own base? I mean, and this is what I was just reading. Jill has sent this to me um, about this guy who had written an article in Politico of all places, saying how, which brings us to the question of gross domestic product, a figure that stands perhaps as the most important single economic indicator because it's commonly viewed as a proxy for prosperity writ large. And it's very interesting because we always look at GDP. And the funny thing is, all the right wing economists said, well, GDP is slow, and they always attribute to regulation over taxation and stuff. It wasn't slow when we had tariffs. It just wasn't, man. We had, you could say, in fact, if anything, you could say one of the reasons, I mean, I'm not going to sit there and say tariffs are good for economic growth. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say they're bad either. There's just this, you can't say this, then that. It'd be silly. But I do know that trade deficits, on the other hand, we had massive trade surpluses while the economy was just booming in the 50s and the 60s. Massive trade surpluses, massive deficits as far as the eye could see, trade deficits. And I used to think this wasn't a big deal. And I'm a relatively new convert to this. Massive trade deficits starting from 1992 until today. And what happened to GDP growth? GDP growth has been weak at best, weak. And the people in the Wall Street Journal say, oh, it's because of regulation. That's true. It's because of taxation. Some of that's true for sure. But they will never look at current account or capital accounts trades and deficit, current accounts and capital accounts. They'll never look at that. But you see, in 1992, we were basically even Steven on trade deficit. Now we're at $900 billion in 2020. I think in 2023, it's still like $750 billion. And the GDP just hasn't done anything relative to what it did in the 1950s when we had trade exports, the surpluses, massive surpluses on that. And people say, oh, but the quality of life in the 1950s was bad. That just to be silly. Look, I'm not going to sit here and say I want to go back to the 1950s. I don't, but I'm just saying you can't have it both ways. You can't sit there and say the quality of life was bad in the 1950s because we had trade surpluses, as some people do. And when you have trade surpluses, what that means is a lot of times that your dollar isn't valued as high as it could be. There might be some truth to that in the 1950s. But be that as it may, the facts are no one's going to sit there and say the 1950s were a poor time to be an American. It just weren't. And we had massive trade surpluses on top of that. Frankly, I don't know about I bet the tariffs weren't much back then, frankly. And the reason we didn't want tariffs because we were the only game in town. Everyone else was just trying to re-establish themselves in World War II. We were the only people in the manufacturing base. So, of course, we wanted free trade. We didn't want them to put tariffs on us because we said, we got the goods. We want to sell them to you. For sure. That's exactly what happened. And just like Britain, and I mean, it's crazy when you think about Britain. I think he talks about here. Britain they had free trade in the 1890s, 1900s. They believed in it. And then they're just a second ranked country now. They're just not a power. Will I attribute that all to free trade? Of course not. But the facts are they allowed their domestic manufacturing base to just be destroyed. And there's nothing left. Again, the massive amounts of people in Britain are poorer than the massive amounts of people in Mississippi. People in Britain have less wealth than people in Mississippi. And that's just a fact, Jack. Again, what I say is all because of free trade? No. But I am saying at the end of the day, all these freak outs about tariffs and stuff, I said our manufacturing base has been decapitated without question. We're still manufacturing things, don't get me wrong, but we are a country of 350 million people, so doggone right. But we've left, just like Warren Buffett said, we've been living on the largesse of the people who built this country for too long. And at some point, you got to get back to building. You have to. Anyway, so check this guy out. Right here. There is, to be sure, value tracking the sheer volume of domestic production, though GDP is an imperfect measure of that. But as useful the figure may be in the sense that it purports to track generalized national wealth, it is hampered by a profound flaw. It reveals almost nothing about how the attendant prosperity is shared. That is, if a small slice of the population is awarded the great bulk of the bounty from economic growth, while everyone else remains unenriched, GDP would rise nevertheless. And that, to a crucial degree, is exactly what has happened in the United States over the last 30 years. The aggregate measure of GDP has hidden the reality that a more modest societal split has grown into an economic chasm. Since 2013, Americans with a bachelor's or more advanced degrees have, in the aggregate, seen their material well-being improved. Those without high school degrees have seen no real improvement, and geographic disparities have widened among similar lines, with places ranging from Boston to San Francisco seeing big jumps in income and prosperity, but Youngstown, Ohio to Port Arthur, Texas falling further behind. The crucial point, even before digging into the nuances, is clear. American GDP has grown, and yet we remain largely blind to the disparities, 100%. So what's happening here, beside London, UK is pretty poor. Yeah, 100%, man. I mean, so what's going on here is that you say GDP is growing, but it's not even growing that much, but it's growing significantly for certain sectors of the population. And I've shared this with you before about the economic wealth disparity. The wealth is just through the roof for some groups of people, and it's just not. I don't know if I can show you this. I just let me see if I can't find my profile post, because one of the things. Let's see here. Oh yeah, right here. Here's the G. Here's. Oops. Look at this. This is the trade balance, goods and services balance of payments. And you can see 1992, we were a little bit shy. There's a deficit, but look where we are now. I mean, look at that. It's crazy, man. Crazy. I also did this right here, by the way. Remember when everyone, I tell you, had great pensions that were well funded? Yeah, those were the days. And here we go. Our payments for 1929 were much in excess of the maximum estimate when these forms of gratuity were adopted. This company rewrote its entire plan recently. Existing pensions will be carried on as heretofore, but the pensions of employees who retire in the future will be considerably reduced before the former figure. Even so, the mounting costs of this form of relief are causing the management serious concern. The Boston Elevated Railway has been obliged to reduce its pension allowance 1%. This is written in 1929. I just thought that was funny. People are like, oh, the pensions were so, when the pensions, they're so well funded. That was in 1929. All right. And we know what happened the rest of 1974. It's just the whole thing about pensions is just so freaking stupid, dude. People they have this thought like, oh, everyone had a pension is so much better back then. We just didn't. We just didn't. In fact, right here, I even said the same. It's funny. I said the same thing right here. Remember, we all had pensions? Right here, the good old days. I'm right. This is 1966 by newspapers.com. I'm not going to read the whole thing here, but I found that funny. Pension breakthrough is pretty interesting. This article talks about the vast majority of people just did not have pensions. That was in 1966. But everyone had pensions, Josh. Don't you know? Don't you know? Like, no, not really. That's so in 1929, the pensions were dying. 1966, we didn't have the pensions either that a lot of people think we had. I just want to show you this one thing on actual wages, if I can find it. Hang tight for just a second. Oh, by the way, if you type in retirement planning, you can see there's no retirement planning until about 1960. On the words of retirement planning in newspapers.com is a very new phenomenon for sure. It's kind of funny. Let's see here. I'm not going to find it. My man, Dr. Cowan, measles update, destroying myths. Let's see. Oh, yeah, right here. Remember the good old days when the U.S. debt to GDP ratio is less than 30%? 1972 through 1979, the debt to GDP ratio is about 25%. Man, our economy was kicking ass and taking names. Then I say down here. Remember the good old days when the U.S. debt to GDP ratio is less than 10%? 1890 to 1899, the debt to GDP ratio is less than 10%. And man, the economy was kicking ass and taking names there. I thought that was funny. Right here. Low personal savings rates cause a trade deficit, huh? I didn't know the US didn't have trade deficits back in the 1970s. Interesting, because here's our high personal savings rate, and here they are low right here. So people are going to say attribute trade deficit, and we did have trade deficits in the 1970s, by the way. It's not nearly as bad as what it is now, but we did. But they always attribute trade deficits to high, low personal savings. But yeah, we had high personal savings in the 1970s, significantly higher than we've ever had, other than COVID times. And and we still had trade deficits. The economist is just it's a silly profession, man, for sure. My man foundering Wikipedia is lying about the history of ragtime. The wrong song is listed as the first published rag. La Passe Ma La was a second rag. They refused to give credit to Ben Harney for the first because he was white. Ben Harney's page admits he was the first, but they still don't give him credit. Interesting. I just want to find this thing on. Anyway, so that's I gotta stop sharing there. I want to find this thing on the trade. I'm not gonna be able to find it. It's in here someplace, but right here. Yeah, here it is. It's always a great time to be alive, educated, and common sense on your side. Retirement planning came out around when the pill came out. Ooh, I like that, Mark. Interesting. Retirement planning, and so right here, let me show you this guy. Look at this. This is real median income right there. Reals in the blue. You can see from 2000 to 2024, 25, real median income, household income. Yeah, real median household income went from 77,000 to 83,000. That's 0.33% a year increase, real median household income. You know who didn't have a real median household income of only going 0.33% a year? The 0.01%. The 0.01%. Sometimes but my man Azul, I just saw a video. It came up my feed. He said, "Stupid people do annuities" or something like that. I didn't watch the video, but you guys, I don't know. Just what's Azul's take on why stupid people do annuities? Yeah, what I'm saying. They worked until they died. I mean, the evidence on this is just overwhelming. Overwhelming. Paul Fry says he has a pension. Don't know if he'll be there when I retire, but I don't know if my Social Security. Yeah, we don't know anything can be there. Yeah, I completely agree. I'd rather be alive today than any other time in the world. 100%, Kirk. The idea that there is a bifurcated issue that we have that and it's going to get and it needs to. This is why Trump is addressing this, because what's happening is Trump is recognizing that there's the forgotten man, essentially. And that's what Amity Shlaes talked about in her book, The Forgotten Man. She wrote that 15 years ago. Great book about the Great Depression, The Forgotten Man. And Trump is saying that too. I mean, yes, the people on CNBC, the people on MSNBC and Fox News, they're all educated, the richest can be. That's not the vast majority of Americans. The vast majority of Americans have lost a lot relative to what the rich have gained. And I'm not going to be one of these idiots who say, "Oh, the wealthy stole from the poor," because that's stupid. If you're poor, you have Rush Limbaugh used to always make fun of this. I thought it was completely correct. How did the wealthy steal from the poor? They're poor. They don't have anything to steal to make them. Never made sense. The wealthy is robbing from the poor. Like, wait, how? That doesn't make any sense. But what is happening is our tax code and whatnot and our economic model has allowed the wealthy to just freaking like a rocket ship to the fake moon landing and go like that, where everyone else is somewhat stagnating. That's just a fact. And as such, we have more and more high prominent wealthy people and more control of our quote democracy unquote. And a lot of us holding the wet back. Now, unfortunately, Republicans will believe in free trade. Like this guy says, if you're anti-free trade, you're basically an idiot. Like even I think he says in here, right here, this is pretty funny. He says, Paul Samuelson. Hold on a second. I was laughing. Let's see. Right here. Here's I'm not gonna find it. Dagnabbit. I already talked about any intelligent. The problem of protectionism, wrote Samuelson, is that it's not good for other countries, and further, that is likely to prompt their retaliation, at which point beggar my neighbor becomes beggar myself. But I just kind of find that funny. But then he goes on to say, well, even if they don't retaliate, that's still bad for us. This whole thing's just so stupid, dude. Right here. Regardless of the trade policies of other nations, a country serves its own interests by pursuing free trade, regardless of what other countries may do. It's dumb. But anyway, so Paul Samuelson, basically, there's a guy who wrote a book. I'm not going to. Right here. Oh, yeah. Harvard economist Danny Roderick, one of the few long-standing skeptics of globalization, relates the story of asking Paul Krugman for feedback on his book, Has Globalization Gone Too Far? Krugman told me he had no quarrel with my economics, but that I should not be providing ammunition to the barbarians. That is, I should not give comfort to all those protectionists who stand ready to hijack any argument that seems to provide intellectual respectability to their positions. There you go. It's all about just, we're smarter than you. Crazy. So anyway, all right. So what else going on there, guys? Reference that earlier, but I believe you will not own anything and be happy. Always be your number one. Guess I need to create an NPO. Yeah, an NGO. Yeah, 1%. The wealth of government steal from the future and steal the value of the labor. Podcasts are now in mainstream media because of real people. Corporate media and Hollywood are failing. I hope so. I am only anti-war. Azula's my boy. So did he say that? I actually don't watch it. I don't watch. I mean, I see a couple videos that jump out at me on my feed here because I guess I watched them once and YouTube shows it to me. I just saw nudies for stupid people. I say, oh boy. Yeah. Even duct tape can't fix stupid. Love Elon Trump. Yeah, dude. I mean, I just find it funny. The same people were like, they love Elon getting all these mass subsidies, which I was decrying for many, many, many years. Now all of a sudden they want to freaking graffiti all over Elon Tesla. It's just crazy, man. I'm like, wait, you guys are the ones who push the subsidies and the mandates. I don't care what. I want tariffs because I want them badly because I want to just show the economic model is just wrong. That free trade is not always and everywhere good. It's kind of like the idea of rebalancing. Rebalancing is the only free lunch you get. It's just not true, man. It's simply not. It's dumb. And free trade in of itself, we have lost. If we remember what the guy said, if we trade cloth and China trades semiconductors, are we better off? No, but in the old school of free trade was you trade wine, you make wine, France, UK makes cloth, and we trade with each other. We're all better off because you're better at making wine, I'm better at making cloth. But it's just so silly in of itself when you factor in there's not just a 2-product world. There are many products, man. Many, many products. Harry likes pearly whites. Maybe I got to get pearly whites. Oh, wait, where did it? She's great boopers? How dare you, Harry? Free trade is not equal trade. That is the issue, 100%. 100%. And so, but we have got. I was talking to a guy the other day. Let's just put it this way: he knows very heavily about the manufacture of domestic products that farmers will use, machines, engines, and things like that. Let's just put it this way. And they're all being made in other countries, and then they're imported here because we have reciprocal agreements with some of these other countries. And I said, do you think is one of the issues that we can't find the labor? It's not. We find the labor in America. We just have to have the willpower to build these things here. We can have the labor. Hey, look at Sherry Davis. Aaron to Josh is like Dave Ramsey's daughter to him. Rachel Cruz, yeah, she's pretty good looking. Look at Sherry. Sherry says, hi, Josh. This is the first time I've been here in a year. How dare you? You gave me the push I need to quit my crap little job and retire. I retired May 1st, 2024, bought a modest home in the country and have never been happier. Grown my own food, watch the wildlife as they migrate through my 2-acre property, enjoying every moment, doing what I want. That's freaking awesome, Sherry. You're not the one from Missouri, are you, by chance? Are you in Missouri? The Midwest someplace? All right, I'm going to say prayers and we're going to cut it short. We're going to get out of here. Heavenly Father, oh, thank you for that wonderful, just Sherry. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Lord, for giving Sherry the confidence to cut loose and just enjoy, just like you say in Ecclesiastes. I can't say it. Ecclesiastes. Lord, we're so grateful for your abundance, for all you've given us. We pray for President Trump. We pray for Ukraine. We pray for Russia. We pray for what's going on in South Africa. We just pray for the world. Obviously, this world will never be perfect, Lord. That's why you sent Jesus here to open the gates of heaven. But I'm just so grateful to be able to honor you, Lord. And I just thank you for giving me this time, this platform, and the luxury of hanging out with my friends here on a Saturday night, Lord. And we just pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Sherry, that's freaking fantastic. Wisconsin, okay. I had a lady who kind of did the same thing. Maybe she was in Ohio. I could have sworn in Missouri. Anyway, Sherry had a lady similar to you, and I sent similar kind of thing, and she was going to buy this. I think it was like a double wide. The double wides are fine, you know what I'm saying? In Missouri, someplace, and 4 acres, and she didn't spend any money. I was like, man, what are you waiting for, sister? And it's just like everything, nerves, and I get it. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not God. I don't know the future. But at the end of the day, you're what you just said, Sherry, is going to give people the impetus to get off the snide. And send me an email, Sherry, if you want. I mean, you don't have to. I'd do a video on it. Obviously, I'll keep your name, somewhat private. Well, I guess it can't be too private because I already said it here. But anyway, all right, that's fantastic. All right, God bless, guys. We'll see you all. Pray for Putin. Yeah, we do. Yeah, send me an email, Sherry, if you don't mind, because people need to hear this, man. People need to hear it. All right, God bless. We'll see you guys.